To start, let's remove all 4 lug nuts and take this wheel off with a 19mm socket. Now if you look right behind the backing plate right here, you'll see a 10mm bolt that holds on your ABS sensor onto the knuckle. So remove this bolt. Now I'm going to spray this down with rust penetrant because the sensor is most likely going to be stuck into the knuckle, and I want to lubricate it and work it back and forth to hopefully get it out in one piece. Going to grab onto it with some pliers and twist it back and forth. It's starting to move, that's good. Alright, so it broke. I'll show you how to deal with that. As you can see, the plastic snapped, the wires are exposed. So let's just go ahead and cut this off at this point. And because this broke, we're going to have to remove the axle so that we can get access to the back side of it and drill this out. That is the only way you're going to get this out at this point. Hopefully for you this is not the case, and once you wiggle it, it comes right out, and you can follow the wire along and continue with the process of removing it, which I'll show you later, but for now, let's get this out of here. 32mm socket, remove the axle nut. At this point you want to make sure that the axle pushes through the hub. It does, because obviously we'll have to pull it out, and if it's stuck, get a punch and a hammer, punch right in the middle here where this indent is, and push it through to break it free. Next I'm going to remove these 2 19mm nuts that hold the strut onto the knuckle. Get these bolts off. Now you can pull the knuckle down, push the strut back, and make sure the brake hose doesn't get caught here. Now the knuckle came forward, but I want to push it more out of the way, so I'm just going to disconnect this 12mm bolt right here for the brake hose. That'll give you more slack on the brake hose. Take your axle, set it aside, and now we can focus on our area in need of repair right here. So I'm going to use a stepper drill bit just to get things started, and then I'll switch to a regular drill bit. So now let's just switch to a regular drill bit and just finish drilling through. Let's see what happens if I try to punch it through now. There we go. I'm being very careful not to hit the exciter ring on the back side. There it is. Now we have to do lots of cleanup. So the fact that I drilled through most of the way actually made the plastic be able to crush, compress, and as I was hammering it up, it actually broke free and came out. Now you can use compressed air or vacuum, shop vac, whatever you have, but you want to clean up all this debris. The other side as well. I'm noticing that over here there are some raised areas and buildup from rust, so I'm just going to go ahead and sand this down a little bit. So now once the ABS sensor is out of the knuckle, follow it up, remove it from the strut mounting point here. Then on the frame you'll see it's bolted with a 12mm bolt. Take that out, remove the whole bracket, and then if you follow it up even more, you'll see where it goes in through the frame. So with a pick or a screwdriver, pry these 2 tabs so that it can let go, and then you can pull it backwards like this. And right here is the electrical connector. So go ahead and disconnect it. There it is, and remove your ABS sensor. Take your new one, plug it in, and press it into the frame. It has a little notch right here that has to line up with that notch, otherwise it won't go in, so you can't really put it in the wrong way anyway. There we go. Now let's bolt this up to the frame, line up the bracket, put the bolt through, and snug it up. You don't have to make it too tight. Continuing down, attach it onto the strut. And at this point, before we put the ABS sensor into the knuckle, we have to bring the knuckle back up. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to remove my support here. I put this in so that the brake hose doesn't overstretch. Before the axle actually goes into the knuckle, I notice it doesn't have any sort of lubrication on the splines. I like to put anti-seize, that way it doesn't seize into the hub of the bearing in the future. Just a light coating will do the job. Now grab your knuckle, bring it up, push the axle through. Make sure the brake hose is routed where it needs to be routed. And bring the knuckle up, line it up with the strut. And once one of the bolt holes lines up, go ahead and put the bolt through. Front to back. And the two nuts. Let's get these two out of our way so we can tighten these up properly. Snug them up and then torque them to 67 foot-pounds. And that's two. While I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and reattach this 12mm bolt for the brake hose onto the strut. Let's put the axle nut back on. I'm going to bottom it out with my air gun and then torque it to 134 foot-pounds. Stick a pry bar through the studs to prevent the hub from spinning. It's 134 right there. Next we have to peen over the axle nut to lock it in. So take a punch and a hammer and just hammer this down right here. You'll see it has an indented area on the axle. You don't have to go crazy, that should be good enough. It's just to prevent it from backing off by itself. Slide the ABS sensor into the hole, press it all the way down. I put a little bit of grease on there so that the sensor wouldn't seize up. Just make sure you don't put grease on the end of the sensor. That's the part that actually needs to stay nice and clean. So put the bolt back in here, make sure it lines up with the threads, bottom it out, and snug it. All right. That's snug right there. All right, sensor is installed. If you had any codes, now would be the time to clear them. And if not, let's put the wheel on, take it for a road test. Go ahead and put the wheel back on. Start on all four of your lug nuts, bottom them out, and then torque them to 80 foot-pounds. Perfect.